Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is chapter 92 of Heard You Like Me, and this one is titled No Longer Relaxed. As Jirou sat down, you reached a hand out to her thigh too, and rubbed her bare leg beside yours and smiled. I am content, you said, one of each of your hands resting on the thighs of your girls beside you. Both Momo and Jirou smiled, but you still had your eyes closed so you didn't see them smiling. One by one, the other girls in the class walked into the hot springs section and got into the water to relax. There was a little chatter, but you were so zenned out you didn't engage, just deciding to chill and relax instead. Unfortunately, though, while you were trying to relax, those intrusive thoughts about France and leaving your girls kept coming around to badger you, and so instead of properly relaxing, you ended up just quietly stressing between your two girls. You would have been able to hide it too if you hadn't started to squeeze your girl's legs without realising it. It was only when Jirou asked if you were okay that you were alerted to the fact that you'd been squeezing her. You've had a death grip on my leg for the last 5 minutes, she said. What's up, you okay? Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm fine. I didn't realise I was doing it, you said, chuckling to make it sound like you weren't in a serious mood. Yeah, but what's wrong? She asked. You've been a little funny lately. I'm always funny, you replied. In fact, I'm very funny. Kyoka does have a point though, Yin, Momo added gently from the other side. You have been a little funny, especially just before when you were staring at your bed. I was praying to it, he replied with a goofy grin. Listen, I promise, I'm okay. You looked from one girl to the other, and they both gave you a look that said they didn't believe you. That, and they both pretty much thought the same thing. Yeah, she's definitely not okay, Jirou thought. I don't believe that she's fine, Momo thought. I'm chill, I'm just trying to relax, you said again before closing your eyes and trying to push the intrusive thoughts away. You let out a small sigh and opened your eyes again to say something, but as you opened them you noticed the mist was getting much worse now and you could barely see the other side of the hot springs pool. Hey, you said to Momo, this mist is still pretty thick. Is it getting thicker? Momo looked around. I guess a little, but this is still normal, she said. You hummed with uncertainty. Okay, I'll trust it's still okay. What else would it be, though? Jirou asked. I don't know, but it just seems odd, that's all, you replied with a shrug, before settling back to rest again. You and the girls stayed in the pool for another 20 minutes before the mist got so bad you could barely see anything, so you decided to get out, get dressed, and head back to your room before it got to the point where you got lost just trying to find your room. After getting all your things together, you all held hands and walked in a line, with Momo at the stern, holding a quirk-made torch to help find the way to the cabins, and eventually you got there and then into bed. Thankfully the mist wasn't bad in the cabins, but when you went to bed and looked out the window you couldn't see anything, it was so dense. It'll clear by the morning, Momo said from her bed. I hope so, you thought, your mind going back to the stresses of France and speaking to your parents about it. You fell asleep pretty quickly after that, but your dreams were plagued by your fears of the future, and after a few restless hours of sleep you woke with a start and sat up and looked around. Oh, a dream, you thought, as you looked along the row of beds and bunks next to you. Oddly, you noticed that some of the girls weren't in their beds, and you blinked and rubbed your eyes, but something felt weird about your hand. It was like you were wiping your eyes with a fur coat. What? You wondered as you looked down, but in the dark you couldn't really see what was going on. Getting out of bed, you found it a little weird to stand on your 2 feet, and you felt down your legs to work out what was going on because they felt a little strange too. What is going on? You wondered as you wobbled to the cabin door and pulled it open. As you looked out, you saw this rather large object moving across the grassed area in front of the cabins, and you stopped to watch it, but there was this overwhelming urge to run up to it. Feeling bold, you felt another urge to drop down on all fours, and you bolted from the steps and ran towards this thing. As you got closer, you realised it was a giant penguin, and so you stopped in your tracks. What is going on here? You wondered. I guess I'm still dreaming, but this feels really real. While you were crouched there on all fours, your quirk was already a little activated, and you could hear an inner voice coming from within the penguin. Wait, what? You thought. How come I can hear a voice? Wait, is this penguin a human? You tried to open your mouth to speak to the penguin, but all that came out was a loud meow, and you quickly covered your mouth in shock. Was that me? Did I make that sound? You thought with alarm. Am I a... You looked down at your hands again and saw paws, and then swung your head back over your shoulders and looked down at your legs and also saw paws. It was then that you touched your face and realised that you had somehow been turned into a cat, a little orange cat. Wait, if I'm a cat, then who is this then? You wondered as you sat down on your haunches looking at the penguin. There is no way I can communicate with it, but I can identify its inner voice. You waited, silently begging for it to think something, but it was just still silent, so you swatted at it. You don't know why you did that, but it just felt natural to do so. The penguin's inner thoughts exploded. Oh my gosh, it's a cat. Oh no, it's going to try and eat me. I don't even know what I am, but I need to get away, the inner voice thought. Oh, it sounds like Sato, you thought. Was it just him and me that got turned into animals? As you thought this, you looked around and saw a golden retriever come trotting out of the boys' dorms, happily waving its tail as it exited into the night. Deep fear gripped you, and this dog's eyes locked onto you. Oh, a cat! An orange cat! The golden retriever thought, and you clocked the voice immediately as Krishma's voice. Without having any control over yourself, you hissed aggressively at him and fluffed yourself right up, standing up on your little toes and looking very spicy indeed. You could feel your fur standing on end and your claws relax out a little so that they could grip into the ground a little better. Sato the penguin had waddled slowly out of the way by now, so it was just you and Kiri facing off. He still had his tail in the air and just looked genuinely friendly, but you weren't having any of it. I need to pet it, he thought, as he started down the stairs towards you, but then stopped mid-stairs when he realised something felt wrong. Wait, he thought, looking down at his feet and then swivelling his head to look behind himself. Hold on. What? Am I a dog? Surely this is a dream. He looked around himself and then back to you as Spicy Kitty. He thought, barking as he thought. How do I communicate? He wondered, letting out a little whine of frustration. Just then behind him a porcupine waddled out looking pissed. What the hell is going on? You heard the unmistakable voice of Bakugo ask. Oh, okay, that fits, you thought, relaxing slightly. Oh, a porcupine! Kiri the golden retriever thought excitedly, his tail suddenly wagging again at top speed as he tried to turn on the steps to face the newcomer, but his hind foot slipped and he staggered, and then slipped and fell down the rest of the stairs and fell in a heap at the bottom. He sat up and shook his head, and then his tail started wagging again. I'm okay, he thought, and then he looked at you. I still need to work out if that cat is someone. He pulled himself up onto his forelegs and then started trotting towards you, tail in the air as he made his way over. You knew it was Kiri in this golden's body, but your cat instincts kicked in and off you took, bolting the other way from him. Hey, wait, he thought, barking as he gave chase. You tore off across the yard, panicking as you did so. This is not good, this is not good, you panicked as you sprinted past a large tree. There's that foreboding that was stuck up Yin's nose earlier coming to fruition. I'll see you tomorrow for chapter 93. See you then.